DBS community, welcome back to another Dragon Ball Super video here with Kyle Chris, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys another yellow deck profile. This time it's going to be for Toppo, or as I call him, Suppression Mode Toppo. I do feel like this deck is very good. I think the current problem with this deck is nothing to do with really the deck itself, it's just more so the format. Best of ones are very difficult for Toppo. The one deck that's kind of dominates, I would say, for the most part, dominates or consistently tops in best of ones is Blue Baby. Obviously, Blue Baby gives a lot of decks different problems, but Toppo especially because a lot of the cards you play in this deck don't have deflect until later on in the game, and since you can only play one battle card per turn, it actually really hinders what you can do. This deck is definitely a Unison eccentric deck, so you're really focused on playing your Unison, which is fine. But you're getting to late game regardless because you are a control deck. And when you get to late game, unfortunately, Blue Baby has more tools at its disposal than Yellow does currently. So other decks, though, if you're thinking of Vegex, King Piccolo, Dark Broly, Red Broly, Sin Shinron, any of these decks, Toppo actually can just dump on them extremely hard. And I'll show you guys kind of the idea of what I came up with. So make sure you guys like and subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, let me know what you guys think of the video itself. We do post videos weekly on the channel, and I'll go over what the leader does here. So, Toppo, simple draw attack leader. Awakens, you can awaken at 4 life, which I think I've never done the 4 life. Okay, so it's the same thing. So he's a restand 2 leader. I didn't know if it was like a hybrid. So you can awaken at 4 life, or if you have a 2-drop yellow Unison in play, you can awaken and take life until you have 6 life left. So essentially, if you awaken on turn 2, generally you may have 1 life. I mean, you may have 8 life, you may have 7 life. You can then take those lives and then add them to your hand. So essentially, you can be at the most a restand 2, draw 2 leader. This side, this is where Toppo gains all of the power. Permanent is when you have a yellow Unison in play, when a player plays a battle card, that player can no longer put battle cards into play. So something that people don't really realize about this is that it's not a effect that says as long as you have a Unison in play. It says as soon as that person plays a battle card, this ability will trigger and it stays on them until the end of the turn. So if they play a battle card and they remove your Unison, they cannot play battle cards. It doesn't work that way. That is a way to not to catch people off guard, but some people don't read the card and they don't fully understand what it means. So they'll play something to remove the Unison. Once they remove the Unison, they'll try to play other stuff. You go, no, you can't. Permanent. So it's a cool little effect. Put the leader down there. So we'll start with the draw cards. So we have 4 draw cards. You have 2 Planet Vegeta, and then 2 of the 1-drop Vegeta. Both of these cards serve their own purpose. The 1-drop Vegeta is a card that you can use, obviously, for searching out your Unison, which is the big important thing, because if you don't see your Unison turn 1, you need to make sure you see it for turn 2. We run enough Unisons in the deck where you should be able to, but just seeing your Unison on turn 2, it just makes the deck flow, much easier. You're gonna be hitting stuff on curve now. Planet Vegeta can search the entire deck for any Saiyan card 4 or less. So that's very important because you can search out the majority of your deck with this card here. This card only searches top 5. Top 5 for a 3-drop a yellow Unison. I mean a yellow Saiyan or a 2-drop Unison. So one of the Saiyans, we have Son Goku Absolute Annihilation. Kind of a yellow staple now, where your opponent has to tap an extra energy anytime they want to activate an extra card. And it's got barrier and deflect. 2 draw monkeys. The more draw monkeys you have, the better. 4 is probably arguably the best, just because you can search this off of this and this. You also just combo it away, and then use it later on to draw 2 cards. Who doesn't like drawing cards? 2 Son Gohan changing history. This is one of your outs to Baby. You can search it off of Planet Vegeta, so you can play this on turn 1, search this on turn 2. Turn 2, play your Unison, awaken, restand 2 energy, and then play one of these. And now you're set up for your defensive steps with Baby. If you don't see this card, though, the Baby matchup gets much, much worse. 4 Apes. Since we can only play 1 battle card per turn, but so can our opponent. We'll play one of these to tap down that battle card, draw a card, and then just kind of puts us in a good state for when we go into our turn. Then we can swing with this guy, combo another one, or combo something else. For Unisons, I run a 3-3 split. So I run 3 Gogeta and 3 Vegeta. I'm not going to talk about Vegeta because we kind of know what Vegeta does. But for those who don't know what Gogeta does, +1, you have the ability to pitch 2 yellow cards from your hand. If you do, you draw 2. Obviously, best target for that, probably going to be 8. So if you have 2 apes in your hand, you can use this +1, pitch 2 apes, and then you can use those to draw cards. You can pitch 1 and something else. It just helps cycle through your deck. The permanent is if all your energy is tapped, your mono yellow leader will gain 5k during your opponent's turn, giving you basically a senzu bean for the turn, which is really good in matchups like I said, like KP, or any deck that doesn't play a lot of battle cards. So like Baby, for instance, you can tap out, you gain 5k, so now your opponent has to combo with Blue Baby up to just deal 1 damage to you. Because most Blue Baby players are not going to be playing anything on their turn. They're going to do all their leader stuff, swing at leader, draw a card, and then pass. So, whenever your opponent activates an extra card, this card gains a marker. So it has 2 ways of plussing, which is very, very good. This allows you to stabilize this card early on in the game and just keep it active for a very, very long time. The -4 is cool. Your opponent can only restand 2 energy during their active mode phase. If you're playing against a blue deck, it's not very good. But if you're playing against anything else, if your opponent's tapped out, it's -4, and now your opponent can't play anything because they don't have any energy. So very, very helpful there. 4 Zamasu, 2 Poutine. This is kind of the tandem you run in a lot of yellow decks. If the yellow deck's running Zamasu, you should run Poutine. Honestly, even if you're not running Zamasu, if your deck has other ways of tapping cards, like some builds in Mecha Frieza, you just run Poutine anyways. Just works as your board general, tapping down battle cards when they play them, or if they activate a counter skill, you can tap down cards. This is really good against Blue Baby. If you can establish this card early against Blue Baby, when they go to play Gohan, you can tap down Gohan, and now they don't get an attack, so now they have to bottom deck it, which is fine, but just forces them to not, now they don't have that 25k body that they can just swing in with stuff. MVP of the deck is this Wings card, the Gargantuan Warrior. This needs to be at least a 3 of, if not a 4 of, in every Toppo deck, at least for the current format. If you're not playing this card, go get them. They're really cheap. They're from Dropbox 5. I think they're just uncommons. Yeah, it's just a common, so you should be able to get them. So it's a 2-drop counterplay. Counterplay says play the card. That's very good. The auto says choose one of your opponent's battle cards or Unisons, switch to rest mode. So what's good about this is obviously this deck has a weakness to cards that have double and triple attack, also double strike and triple strike, but also Unisons, because the Unisons are not affected by your leader ability. So if your opponent plays a Unison, let's say it has double strike. Let's say your opponent is, they tap out for a Unison. You can play this to then tap down that Unison, so now they don't get an attack with it. One of the cards that hurts this deck, astronomically, is the Rosie Blast Manipulator multiplier. The triple attack 15k deflect green card that came out in Boost Revolution. And outside of that card ripping 2 cards from your hand, when you play it, it gets triple attack. And that card really, really hurts this deck. The Gotenks dual attack guys hurts this deck. And you see the pattern with those type of cards is they have deflect. So our Poutine, and Poutine hits Gotenks, but not Rosie. But we don't have any other really cards that can tap down that card before it comes into play. So this card, you can at least play this to tap down Rosie, and it saves you from getting attacked with 3 different attacks. Preferably, saving your Unison, because that's probably what they're gonna go after. Still rips 2 cards from your hands, but if you drop these or there's other cards in the deck that you can drop, it doesn't really matter. You can just draw with them. Not a huge deal. So this card is definitely a must-have in any Toppo deck. I will argue that opinion with just about anybody. 2 Prideful Transformations. They're good, especially if you're tapped out and you need to defend your Unison. You can play it. Stops preferably 2 attacks, because you can put a card that's coming into play in rest mode, and now it has blocker, so saves you a little bit. 2 Bergamo. Bergamo's cool. You don't need a lot of them though, because this is our main 2 energy play. 3 the Basils. Again, just another card. Since this card does have unique, it's pretty helpful because you can just play it, draw a card, and then you can swing twice if your opponent has more than 5 cards in rest mode. Just another interesting pressure piece. 3 Whistle Memories, or Melody. Whistled Melody. So this is a Draft Box 5 card. This is another card I will probably live and die by in this deck. It's a 2-drop that blanks a 4 or less coming into play. Put in rest mode? No, just negates its skills. So for Floodgates, for really annoying cards that can mess up your deck, as long as they don't have Deflect, you can basically blank them before they come into play. But the important part about this card is that you can tap 1 yellow to warp this card from the drop area to draw the card. So this is essentially a mini ape. So you can pitch it off of your Gogeta if you're not going to use it in the matchup. So you can pitch 2 of these off of it and then tap 2 energy, warp both of these, and draw 2. So it has a double effect in the deck. But also, just like I said, being able to blank a card is very, very, very good. And since we're not playing a ton of battle cards, having some extra counterplay is pretty good. So it's kind of like a Tyrannical Blow, but that just draws you a card. So that's why we put it in the deck. 3 Coquette Zones. So this is your one of your negates. If your leader is a Universe 11, you negate the attack and then you tap a battle card, which is very helpful because then this pulls out your Poutine, this pulls out your Bergamo, if you didn't already play a battle card that turn. 2 Time Magic. Time Magic actually is a necessity in this deck. This is the deck where you obviously don't need Nimbus because of your Unison leader effect, but Nimbus actually saves you a lot. So when you have those cards that have the dual attacks and then the triple attacks and things like that, being able to stop them from being able to restand is super powerful. And this is so if you don't have the wings on board or in your hand, you can use Sparking to play this, or just tap 1, and you can turn that Rosie that's a triple attack just into a negate, and then they can't restand. So very powerful. Also, Sin against Sin Shinran. This card actually is amazing because it stops the card stops that card. And then their opponent's leader, their leader ability cannot restand that card, or they can't use the combo guy to restand it. So it's a very good card to use against Sin as well. And I think you can choose a card in rest mode, right? Yeah, so you can choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, ignoring barrier, and it can't restand. So you can stop cards from restanding. So even if it's not that card, you can say negate and then choose another card, so that card can't restand. One of the Mecha Frieza Champ negates. I only have 1 so far. I should have a total of 3 once all of my prizing comes in from all the regionals that I played in. This card's very good. I'm trying to find a way to use the double to make this kind of a double purpose card. So this is a negate. Comes out for 1. I think your leader needs to be mono yellow, right? No, just needs to be yellow, and your opponent has to have 2 or more energy. You reduce the cost of this card in your hand by 1 for every extra card in your energy or drop area. So it can become a 1-drop negate. Whenever this card negates, your opponent attacks through this. Your opponent cannot attack unless they choose one of their cards and switch it to rest mode. So this is being rested off of a skill. So technically, if you didn't have Gogeta on board, if they rested off of a skill, you can play Poutine, you can play Bergamo. You can play any of those other cards that say when one of your opponent's battle cards is switched to rest mode by one of your skills, or a card is switched to rest mode by one of your skills. So it becomes kind of annoying to tack through because it's not as bad as Toppo. It's not even as bad as like Ready to Rumble or things like that. Because tapping a card sometimes is not terrible, but it does hinder some plays. Definitely, it's good to have multiple of these though, because they will hurt a deck quite a bit. So if you have more of these, you run them. Currently, they're like $100. So if you play in any tournaments, get this card. It's one of the big reasons why you should play in regionals or to get these cards, because you're guaranteed to get 1, because you get a pack of each. So you're guaranteed to at least get 1. I've heard of stories of people getting 2 of these or 2 of the Bergamos. But it's a cool card. It has a second effect where you can choose a 4-drop Mecha Frieza card from your hand and play it on top of this. Play it in active mode? No. Just plays it on top of it. So I think they're trying to make the 4-drop Mecha Friezas the ones that are you play in like the Shinran decks that There's one that's 15k dual attack that you pitch a card, you get to kill 2 cards in rest mode and it gains double strike. And then the other one, your opponent reveals their hand, you play a battle card from it. So those you can play on top of this. I'm trying to find a way to make it work, but this card and then the new extra card that's called Your Worst Nightmare that plays a card from your hand. If these cards, if one of those cards said play from your deck, the card would be amazing. But it says from your hand, and it's not. There's no real efficient way of getting 4-drop freezes in your hand, so not great. 3 Spirit Fist. Spirit Fist has a double purpose in this deck. For one, it's a ghetto giant ball basically. Counterplay, you choose the card that's being played and put it in and switch it to rest mode. So it's better than Crusher Ball kind of because you can play off Poutine, you can play off Bergamo. The other effect of this card is that if your leader is a Universe 11, when this is an activate battle, choose your leader or a yellow Unison with a specific cost of 2 and give it 10k for the turn. So when you're going in for game with your Vegeta and you minus 3 to give him dual attack double strike and 5k, so it becomes a 20k dual attack double strike base. You can tack on 2 of these to then make him a 40k base for the turn. So that means for both attacks, for 2 energy, you just made him 40k. It's very, very powerful. It also, like I said, works just as a tapping mechanism, so has that effect on it as well. 1 cooler, you don't need more than 1 cooler just because you're not playing a lot of battle cards. Preferably, you're probably playing a battle card before you play this. But once you get to the point where you have your battle cards set up, you can just swing at the battle card. They try to floodgate you. You play this, and now the game is probably over. 1 Champa. This is mainly for leader. If I go in and swing with leader, if I swing in with like one of these or my Gogeta, I can pump up with Spirit Fist and then give him double strike. The marquee card of the deck for offense is going to be the Divine Transformation. Preferably, I would run 4 of these, so I probably would take out a Basil. I just haven't gotten my 4th one yet for some reason. So this is a 5-drop. It's got Deflect. It has a permanent that this card cannot be removed by skills. So opponent can't warp it, they can't KO it, it just can't be removed by skills. It's got Blocker and it's double strike. When this card's played, the first part of the effect you can't really do unless you have life that's face up, but you can KO all your opponent's battle cards in rest mode. Then your opponent activates a counter skill. You get to choose 2 of their cards, switch them to rest mode, and then they cannot restand during your opponent's next turn. I need to get a judge ruling. I don't know if you can choose cards that are already in rest mode with this. I think you have to choose cards that are not in rest mode yet. So if your opponent's completely tapped out of everything, I don't think this works. But I have to get a judge to kind of figure that out. I mean, if I'm going by the wording, then it doesn't work. But it seems like it would work without that. But regardless, then you choose 2 of your opponent's battle cards and choose 2 of their cards, switch them to rest mode, and then they cannot restand till the start of your next turn. So they can't restand them during their charge phase. Then at the end of the turn, when you played this card, it gets to restand. And that effect, I wish you can restand this card. I thought, because what I read it the first time is that this card restands at the end of every turn, but I don't think it does. I think it just restands out off the turn that you play it. But still, it's a 25k blocker. That has double strike as well. And then Fu and Supreme Kai, 2 final cards. You could run, so you can run the Heroine's Legion as well, the lineage. I always say Legion, I'm sorry. Heroine's Lineage. So you can run this as well. So if your opponent plays a battle card, then you can steal their battle card, so that way they don't have a battle card to play again. But that's completely up to you which one you have. Obviously, that's kind of the cheaper option because Supreme Kai is like super expensive now. But this is good because it does shut off your opponent's turn. They can't do anything. If they already have a battle card in play, you can activate battle, play this, and then your opponent can't attack with their leader or their Unison. And then you can warp their entire board with their Unison away for 1. And then obviously food does food things. So this is a 54 card deck. So a little on the heavier side. This deck draws a ton, so it's not something I feel like you have an issue with. But like I said, in best of ones, currently it's just not, it doesn't feel extremely good. Mainly because of the fact that Blue Baby is still kind of running amok. And if Blue Baby wasn't a thing, I'd say play it, because there's not a lot of other decks outside of maybe Invoker that can really match this deck for control-wise. This deck stalls out every single game. It doesn't matter who it is. It can be Red Broly, Dark Broly, Vegex, whoever. This deck just it puts so much pressure on everybody. And as long as you can if you can keep your Unison alive for maybe 2 turns, the game's probably over. Because once this Unison gets to like 4 or 5, as long as they don't play a Kai, this card is not going anywhere until you play your Vegeta to go for game. So you're basically in the clear for most of the game. So that's what I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, give it a thumbs up, hit the bell for notifications, and I will see you guys in the next video.